everyone, and welcome to Sky High Stats. My name is Hawk, and in this segment, we'll be taking a leap into the sky and looking down upon some of the fun stats and facts from Proving Ground circuit action. First up, let's take a look at one of our more basic stats, but I think an interesting one that gives us a bit of a snapshot of the open qualifiers that just concluded. And man, what an insane open qualifier that was, but this stat is going to be KDA. And I think, unsurprisingly, 3 of the top 5 KDA leaders from the open qualifier were members of 100 Thieves Next. I guess it pays to be undefeated. But who were the 2 members that weren't on the Thieves? Well, it's actually 2 of the Evil Genius's prodigies. Doxa is coming in at our number 3 spot with a KDA of 8.4, while Donbray actually leads the pack with a staggering 12.33 KDA and 14.2 average assists per game. Next up, let's veer off to our right somewhere. I think there's probably a zoo somewhere around Unified City around here, and I think it should come to no surprise to any of you that in a tournament with a fan favorite monkey-themed team, that the big chimp Wukong was our highest presence champion for the open qualifier. It was picked or banned in 72 out of 80 games for a 93.5% presence. The other champion with over 90% presence was Lucian, which showed up in 71 games, so pretty close. Both those champions absolutely ruling the meta. I wouldn't expect them to go away anytime soon because they're looking pretty amazing so far on patch 12.10. For those that don't know, this patch was a big one, so be sure to check the patch notes if you haven't. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me on this lovely flight around Unified City. I hope to see you all next week, and I hope you enjoy the Proving Grounds Circuit Qualifier number 1 for the 2022 Summer Split.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Hawk, for that piece. And we're ready. It's game number 2
Let's go.
here between these two. That was such a fun matchup to see, and I think it turned a lot of people's heads here.
I predicted 300 to win this series.
Me too.
I didn't think it was going to happen like that. I really didn't think it would be off the back of a substitute jungler that smurfed the entire game. And we do got some post-game stats coming at you.
Lucian.
Thanks to Macro Hard. Look at that freaking Lucian damage. Oh my god. Popping off in that laning phase. And it's beautiful to see that 300 had a game plan. They stuck to it. And it led them to a victory, right? They have this Lucy and Lilia in the draft, a very strong mid-jungle pairing on the red side, and you're able to get priority, you're able to snowball the Lilia, let her make plays, and just make things happen around that, and you love to see that from a new team with some fresh, kind of inexperienced players.
My favorite thing about 300 in terms of it is it felt like a baton pass, right? Like, it felt like throughout all stages of the game, it felt like somebody was passing the baton onto the next member, and it was just constantly like Leo just constantly grabbing it and saying, yes, I will be the aggressive Gale Force dashing in player. You've got Minoan who's down here playing Vayne, says, I'm just going to do my best like double lift impression from like back in 2015 where I'm just going to split push on Vayne all day and there's nothing that anybody can say about it. So it was constantly like a spotlight shed on each one of the members of 300, and AoE had a hard time answering it. I'm curious on what their game plan is going to be going into this next draft.
Yeah, I think we saw that they got a draft they were okay with, right? They put Lynx on the Seraphine to try and play a more passive role in that game to unlock Skytech to roam. We saw that really nice topside play that they made onto the Aatrox to shut him down, to give Fiora the lead. But the problem is that after that, they just really fell apart, right? That was their one great play this game. Zamudo got a massive lead off of that. They set Jisung behind, but then we saw a little bit of maybe the anxiety, a little bit of the anxiousness coming out from Zamudo in that topside play, right? He tried to turn it, couldn't quite turn it. It gets Winston killed as well. And I think if they shake off a little bit of those nerves, they stick with a similar composition, Game 2 is going to look much more like the AoE that we saw in the open qualifiers.
Yeah, I think a big thing that I looked at from AoE is I want to see them actually have ways that they can possibly attack a little bit more, right? We got to see a little glimpse of it, like you said, and it felt like even though like Winston's on this Graves and it's a pick that he's traditionally very good on, he put a ghost on it, like you knew he was getting up into people's face.
Yeah.
it became something where we wanted to see a little bit more playmaking happen, maybe in the mid lane to keep Leo down from being able to oppress. And I am curious if after a performance like what Naima had, who's coming in as a substitute, they banned away the Nidalee from them, and then immediately they take the Lilia. I'm wondering if they might try to target him out in the banning phase now.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I do think that targeting Naima could be an option. I also do think that if you are not going to target Naima, get rid of the Lucian. We saw Hawk say it in his Sky High stats segment. That champion is just absolutely turbo broken on this patch. It's such high presence. These players know how to play with it, how to utilize its strengths. It's right up there with the likes of like Wukong and Ari and things like that. These really top tier champions that you need to either have a plan for or just get rid of in drafts. So I do think that that could help them out, and that enables Young to play some of those mage mid laners that he's so comfortable on, because I think he felt pressured to play Akali because you don't want to play Orianna into Lucian. You don't want to play something passive mage mid laner as Xerath into Lucian. You want to play something that can pressure it, right? But if you get rid of the Lucian, it unlocks some more picks that Young might be a little bit more comfortable on.
Yeah, control mages in the Lucian is a big sad face. You get Sag in that lane very quickly. It's not fun. I do want to know if they do decide to take it away. I'm curious on what the side selection is going to be here inside that game, because I feel like that will tell us a lot. Because if they're blue side again, do they still just insta-lot Graves, or do they take the Lucian, right? Like, is that something that they end up doing? I think we just got confirmation AoE is going to be on blue side. So it's just like, okay, do you change your plans and say, all right, we're going to take Lucian now?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams sometimes prefer running it back, but I really do think that the Graves priority might be a little bit too high for AoE. I do think that Winston thought he could really just run over that game against a sub jungler with his best champion, but clearly 300 is not going to go down without a fight, right? Like their namesake Spartans that they're named after. You're not going to be able to push over this team. They're gonna put up a fight no matter what. So we need to see some sort of adaptation, right? Either ban the Lucian, which is going to make Graves stronger, maybe pick the Lucian like you suggested, and then look towards an AP jungler for Winston. There's a lot of ways they can do it, but the fact that they're on the same side shows to me, at least as a former coach and player, that they probably are comfortable with their draft and their game plan in this series. They just are not happy with how they executed on it. They think that if they made a couple tweaks to their gameplay and how things unfolded, that they would have come away with the win. But we're going to have to see once we get into draft in just a couple minutes.
I personally would like, and I know we've talked a lot about like the substitute for 300 and Naima. I would like to see Loyal go for something that isn't as safe as the Seraphine. He went the Moonstone route as well on the Seraphine, so it's not a really damage Seraphine build. So you go Moonstone into like Headstep Purifier, and that's usually like the build choice that you go in bot lane. I would like to see one of the more aggressive mages. Loyal normally plays mid lane in their time. Syndra is very valuable in the bot side of the map. You can play Ziggs still. There's even Vigar that has brought it up from time to time. There's a lot of mages that actually have a lot of flexibility. Even Karthus. Karthus is one that is giga busted in bot lane, and I will swear by that all day, every day, because it's such a strong champion. And so I'm like, I want to see Loyal play something that maybe if he does the Seraphine again, it works fine. Maybe change up the build path a little bit, or the play style on how you play around the Seraphine bot. But I would really like to see them go for something that's a little bit more aggressive. Maybe something that can punish a Vayne when it gets left alone. When we saw Raheen just roaming across the map on Renata.
Yeah, I do really think that you need some sort of change to happen in the bot side of the map. You need to give Winston a lane to play towards, something to snowball, right? So the fact that you have the Seraphine down to the bot lane means that you're just going to avoid it at all costs, but we are getting into the draft for game number 2. Same sides for both teams. We're going to have to keep an eye on these bans to see how similar the drafts are.
I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm keeping my eye still on Naima's bans here. Already the Nidalee taken off. I'm curious if they're going to ban more stuff away from Naima inside this game. I feel like respect has been earned.
Yeah, I do think so. I think coming into this series, maybe didn't have any information on Naima, and now you know that they're a very prolific Lilia player, right? They played that game incredibly well, but so far we have the same bans. Looking over at the bans from last game, it was Nidalee, Senna, and they rounded it out with a Talia ban. And over on the other side, same ban, Zoe, Gangplank, and they rounded it out with a Wukong, assuming the Gangplank goes through. So far, things are the same.
Yeah, so far everything has remained the same. We're seeing a little bit more time spent deliberating on the bans this time around as well. And
Ooh, Lilia potentially.
Lilia, it's banned.
Okay.
Respect earned.
Yeah, I do think the thing about a Lilia ban is it has double value in a game like this because you're not going to pick Lucian without a Lilia, more than likely. We'll see if Leo goes in a different direction. You can also put Lucian down to the bot lane, but it takes away a lot of its flexibility power, right? So by banning that Lilia, you are kind of banning out two different picks, and I like the fact that they're hovering the Lucian here for AoE. They were listening to you, Travesty.
I'm a gigabrain, I'm telling you.
Mega mind.
I just want to see what 300's response is now, though, because you got this. Lucian's very flexible. You can play it amongst 3 roles amongst this team.
Yeah, you certainly can, right? You can do the Lucian Nami in the bot lane. You can do Lucian plus AP jungler. And the Diana pick for Naima is very interesting, right? Because when you're looking at the top tier of AP junglers, Diana is certainly still up there. In terms of, at least on 12.9, we haven't seen a ton of Diana on 12.10. But the fact that you're picking it away means that now Winston either has to just go an AD jungler and you send Lucian bot lane, or he's going to have to get creative, something like a Karthus, something like that. But the Nami means they're going to send it bot lane.
Yeah, you don't see Winston playing AP junglers. He likes to get up into your face.
Yep.
And I like this solution coming in. You do have that Lucian Nami that's so powerful, and a Syndra to boot in the response to Cian and Aurelia on the other side.
I love this. I do think that, picking the Syndra earlier, Young's champion pool was pinched last game, right? There was a Zoe ban, a Victor ban, and a Syndra ban against Young. So the fact that they pick Young's mid laner so early on into this draft means that they guarantee themselves a pretty solid matchup. Syndra into Irelia, there is some room to outplay on the Irelia side for certain, but assuming that Young is on top of it with the Scatter of the Weeks, you can keep Irelia at an arm's length. And getting into phase 2 bans, we see the Fiora ban against Zamudo, a great Fiora game, honestly. Despite his team going down really, really heavily, he was putting up a very, very solid fight. And the Jax ban as well, just targeting down Zamudo, afraid of what he's got to offer.
I mean, take away the counter matchups into Gwen too, right? Like,
yep.
You have your Gwen, you know what your matchup is, you don't know what Zamudo is going to pick. They're going to be able to secure themselves a counter pick in some shape or form here. I guess they're probably going to lock their support or AD marksman here, but they get their top lane matchup revealed, and then they kind of figure out exactly what their game plan is going to be.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how the draft unfolds. Pretty much every jungler is up for Winston. He plays Olaf, which recently got a mini rework. He plays Viego, which it looks like is going to be the pick. And yes, it is. I do like this. Syndra Viego has a lot of sort of skirmish potential, playmaking potential, even gank potential, right? Viego on the Syndra stuns very easily. That's a Riven. Yeah. I love it.
This is insane. We guys on Riven this time around. This is going to be a very, very fun match to watch in the top side.
Okay, just confirming that my pre-game scouting was correct. Yeah, so Zamudo is a Riven player, right? Obviously, most games on Fiora, then Gangplank. But third most played champion is Riven. So this is a champion that Zamudo is very comfortable on, a very high win rate on this champion in Challenger, and honestly, has a solid matchup into Gwen. What does Gwen fear most? Somebody that can get inside the Shroud and duke it out with them, a champion that might be able to take Ignite and really pressure all-ins. Riven can do both of that, right? Riven can threaten the all-in. Riven can flexibly take Ignite and try to win these laning phases, win these side lane matchups, and it's going to be so pivotal for AoE to snowball this Riven, because otherwise this champion doesn't offer a ton in terms of team fight power.
Yeah, this does give you a little bit of a worrisome thing here where it's just like, all right, Winston is off the graves. He's taking Viego. And I had Manui on to the show that we do poolside. And before while we were just talking and chatting, I remember him even turning around saying, like, yeah, right now on this patch, it feels like a Viego diff sometimes. Because sometimes people just get Viego and they run rampant. If you're looking for a jungler to run rampant, Winston is a great player to look at.
Yeah, Winston is your guy. This is the guy who in solo queue games will walk into a laner's lane and take all of their CS on Olaf or Graves, and he's trying to double crab every single game. And I love the way that this guy plays jungle, and he honestly does still do those kind of plays in amateur and collegiate. So it's going to be so much fun to see what sort of playmaking potential he has on the Viego. But over on the side of 300, I do think that they have secured themselves a pretty solid composition. It is similar to last game, though, where you've got good parts, right? You've got Irelia Diana, you've got the Gwen for Jisung, which is comfort, you've got Aphelios Lulu. But as an actual entire team composition, it's a little bit hard for me to see how these pieces mesh well together. If they can get a massive gold lead, then this just does not matter. But if it's a more even game, or if they have to come from behind, it's going to be tough for them to force plays because your engage is really trying to find a flank with one of your two bruisers.
Yeah, this is the weird thing about the composition, right? Is like you look over between these two, and I would love to use like a snowball analogy, but it's summertime, so I don't feel like I can. So I feel instead we have like a sandcastle building competition, and each one's trying to build the most extravagant one. The problem is, like, you look over at 300 and the way that they are looking to put the drawbridge in and get into the conversation of the fight. It's so hard to do without the wind knocking everything over. They are going for something monumentous as we're getting into the rift here, Dylan.
Ooh. Observer smurfing a little bit of a scenic introduction to the rift there, and this is going to be an exciting game. Can 300 complete the 2-0 upset? I say upset because I predicted them. Upset is in quotes for me because, you know, I knew all along that they were going to do it. But for the majority of analysts that we have on the broadcast and for fans on Twitter, I believe that the sentiment is that AoE is strictly the better team, right? And the fact that, you know, substitutes happen, it's going to happen in these matches. AoE needs to show up now, otherwise they face potential, you know, a trip to the lower bracket, which is always scary so early on into the tournament.
And this is a very, very, like, close group, right? We were talking about
yes.
This is a group where you can see any of the four teams really actually coming out on top and getting themselves the first and second seed, and you'd probably be like, yeah, I'm not really surprised, even though there's 4 different variants of what could happen here. There's so much different variety that could possibly happen. Raheen is playing this Lulu in the mid lane right now. Right behind
Yeah, this
Leo.
is interesting. Potentially a read that there's going to be some sort of topside jungle invade because Zamudo has Ignite. I do like that Raheen is hovering there because if there is a world where Diana is greeted by a Viego and a Riven, having as many members nearby as possible is very, very helpful. But this mid lane matchup is interesting. It's almost a reversal of what we saw in the previous game. We saw Lucian versus the Akali, and Lucian was able to get early priority, and 300 used that priority so well, right? Getting an early dragon, getting a CS lead. Syndra can exert that kind of pressure onto Irelia. It just comes down to how aggressive the Syndra can play and how well they can sort of maneuver around Irelia's engage windows. And I love that Young is playing so far forward.
Yeah, he needs to in this matchup. He wants to be the aggressor. He needs to be sure to keep Leo in check, because the Aurelia is a signature pick for Leo as well. This is a champion that we've seen Leo go to time and time again to look to pop off. But look at this bot lane. The Nami Lucian, ever so destructive to the HP bar of this Aphelios.
I will say, as somebody that has recently been trying to climb on a 80 carry account, Lucian Nami is just so dang oppressive, right? Especially if you don't have good engage to get on top of the Nami, they can just run rampant in these laning phases. So I fully expect Loyal and Skytech to really direct the flow of this laning phase, unless, of course, there's some sort of miraculous outplay from Manui and Raheen, or some sort of help from Naima. But Young trying to get some early information. They know that Naima's on this buff. And look at Winston walking over. They've got bot lane priority. They're looking for an invade. They always do this.
Yeah, Raheem was not spotted in this moment. Young immediately yeeting it away.
Oh, look at that.
The Raheem got it. He's trying to run for the hills to stun Wilkin. Raheem, no buff transfer today, baby.
Okay, at the end of the day, I'm still calling Worth for AoE. You take blue buff away from Diana, but that is just so dang funny. Raheen is going to be feeling good after that blue buff steal, but this is the kind of stuff we've been talking about with AoE throughout both our pre-show and also in last game. Winston and Skytech link up so well, right? Winston knows that there's bot lane priority for the Nami Lucian. Young is going to have priority. Jisung the exhaust.
He's looking for it. He might actually find it. No. Flash doesn't have to get blown. What a troublesome situation to be in.
Yeah, honestly, not too bad because Gwen can't really shove waves too fast. This is a cannon wave as well. So Zamudo should be able to get back with the Riven, all of the gap closing that you can do on your way back to lane. And an important thing to track is that Jisung has burnt teleport and exhaust. Zamudo has burnt nothing. So Zamudo is going to have a window where he can look to trade aggressively once Jisung is back to lane, and he can try and leverage the fact that he has Ignite and Jisung has no summoners up. So it's going to be interesting to see, does Winston play around that? Does Naima try to counter gank that? What is going to happen with this top lane matchup? Because both teams want their top laner to snowball.
And I want to reiterate a point that you talked about too. Winston, that type of jungler that wants to double scuttle. Look at what he did, man. Double scuttle. He's looking comfortable.
Double Crab King. What's that new thing that Riot has? Those profile banners that you can have? Oh, big fight in the bot lane. Never mind.
But there's a challenge in the bot lane, and I almost finds it. But it will be secured by Raheen, the hero that we all needed for a 300. Now it's a supportal combat situation, and Raheen will retreat from that.
Yeah, I don't know if Skytech can get this wave in fast enough. If he can, then I call Worth for AoE. But look at this trade in the bot lane. The instant exhaust onto Loyal cuts all of his damage. Skytech trying his best to keep his AD carry alive. Raheen able to get that last little auto in to finish things off. And oh, we can't get the wave in. Thank you, observers. That is going to be a soft freeze for Manui that he's going to be able to hold near his turret for a while. He's going to be pretty safe on that Aphelios.
That was one auto away from being a different story there, man.
Yes.
They are ready to scrap. Yet again, these two teams looking to be the aggressor. Neither one of them wants to be in the passenger seat. They want their pedal on the gas, and they want it straight down to the metal. And you can see both of them trying to find their moment to be able to pilot the game. Winston looking for yet another gank.
Oh, this could be a play. How close is Young to 6? Skytech in the vicinity as well. This could absolutely be massive.
Leo?
Level 6.
He is caught out. The stun is there. We'll be able to get a nice stun
Great
onto
stun.
Young. So this will mean that Young won't be in range for Scatter the Weak just yet, but it doesn't matter. Winston is sticking onto him like glue. The Vanguard's edge comes in. It's going to be unleashed power. Naima gets dropped instead. A sacrificial lamb to secure Leo's life.
Little bit of lack of coordination there. Leo using the ultimate, I think, gave Naima the signal that Leo was looking to turn that play onto Winston. But as soon as the ultimate comes out for Irelia, Leo keeps walking backwards. Naima engages in, burns Flash, and unfortunately goes down. And this is huge for AoE. You're able to get a snowball onto Winston there. You're going to secure the first dragon of the game. You're going to be able to reset, get up towards that Rift Herald, and really try to get the ball rolling with this composition. Get this Viego off the ground. There's the recall coming in from Winston. Big wave for Zamudo. And my eyes are on this Rift Herald. How is Skytech going to pair up with Winston to try and secure this for AoE Esports and to try and get Zamudo a lead in the top lane?
I mean, right now he's already got himself that lead that he's looking for, right? He's got that CS differential yet again. He's been the aggressor, and like you were talking about, one thing that Gwen hates more than anything is somebody getting up in their face, and it's been non-stop. Every time the observer pans over to the top side of the map, it is just Zamudo in the face of Jisung, making sure to punish this pick as much as possible. Winston gets another crab, and we're going to have Shelly spawning here in a moment, and I'm sure Winston's set up to just go ahead and secure it.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as you get Zamudo back into the top lane, back set up to try and push the next wave, it should just be easy pickings onto this Rift Herald for Winston and the side of AoE. And exactly like you said, Winston starting this up, Naima on the bot side of the map, and all AoE has to do at this point is not let Naima make a play on the bottom side, right? If you just play passively, if you play back, don't allow a counterplay to happen, this top lane matchup can go from bad to worse because Jisung has no flash. If you get a good play onto him and you get multiple plates on a Riven, things could go very poorly for 300.
Very poorly, easily, swiftly. This is going to be the first gank that Naima's actually looking for. Has the ultimate ability ready, but the wave is just not in a favorable spot there, even with red and white on the Aphelios.
Yeah, smart gameplay from the side of AoE, realizing that at that point, Diana could only make a play bottom, cannot be anywhere else on the map that's actually going to make a play. They play passively, they play respectfully, and now they are allowed to get their base off, to try and get back into this lane and try and utilize that Rift Herald on the Viego to make something happen. Raheen, I like that he's bought Boots' first item and he's poking his head into all these lanes. He's making sure that his team does not fall too far behind, because as long as he can sort of stabilize some of these lanes, then 300 is going to be in an okay spot. This gold lead is not insurmountable yet.
Oh no, not by any means. They can still claw their way back in very easily, especially with the champions they have. They have these champions that can absolutely kick over whatever sandcastle AoE wants to build up, and it does become a situation of how do they do that. Nice scatter the weak on the Leo, but look at this, Leo immediately gets right back into the face. Skytech is here, and it is going to be Unleashed powered, a beautiful shield to keep him alive. The bubble doesn't connect. But Winston is here, and Shelly is in the pocket.
Great hovering from Raheen. I think Leo got a little bit of false confidence because of the fact Raheen was so close, Naima was so close, but Young on this Syndra, you could just tell the difference in comfort that Young has this game. Able to play so aggressively in the lane, able to really just dominate and set up his team. The Akali was certainly played very well, but Raheen, oh no, the poor little Lulu.
They called out exactly where he was going. A flash blown in immediately. Just thumbs up. That's cool. We'll get Scuttle Crab. We'll go back to seeing what else we can do.
It's going to be interesting to see how AoE utilizes this Rift Herald. They have it for about the next minute or two. Winston taking a base right now to spend his gold, get closer to that mythic item, but they are going to have to use it eventually, right? They can't hold on to it forever. Zamudo in the top lane, can he disengage?
I mean, he is playing that Riven, he is moving around, has the flash available. Naima cannot get into range. The exhaust has been used, a beautiful stun, a nice shield, and a beautiful flash from Zamudo to get away from Naima. Naima not finding a place to be able to gank.
Well played. We saw last game that Zamudo playing a little too aggressively, tried to go for an outplay. This game instead just respectfully flashing away, disengaging from the play, and realizing that he just needs to not allow a play to be made onto him, right? He is slowly winning this laning phase. There is a Rift Herald that's going to come help him very soon, and very similar to earlier on in this laning phase, Jisung now left without an exhaust. Riven still has Ignite. Zamudo has a window to try and look for a 1v1 outplay and to potentially look to try and blow this matchup wide open.
I love the difference in terms of how they have adapted, though. Like, they have made sure that Naima has not been able to have an impact on this map whatsoever, and it has been everybody else being able to reap the benefits, right? AoE are able to just kind of play their standard game plan now.
Ooh, look at Naima, able to sneak in, not on vision, on top of a pink ward right now. Can Naima find this engage? Has flash, has ultimate.
Diego's here.
Here's Winston to match.
They are going to be able to get a little bit of damage.
Great tidal wave.
There. Beautiful ultimate, but only catches Winston. Loyal is cannot continue to pursuit, and it will just be a couple trades of summoners between these two.
Oh, wow, but Young kind of caught in no man's land here. Can Naima look for a play onto him? Ooh, barely able to squeak out through the corridor. And as you said, no kills going over to either side. Things are so tense. Leo on a pink ward.
Yeah, he wanted to clear it. Gets stunned, gets put into the bubble. He will get drowned out. Winston finds the kill. We'll go ahead and borrow the kit of this Aurelia and make way for the dragon.
Wow, and one thing to note is unless I'm mistaken, I do think... Oh, Zamudo in the top lane.
Yeah, he's looking for a kill here. He thinks he can find it. It is a back and forth between the two.
Oh!
So but it is Jason who stands on top.
Jisung played so well in that fight. No exhaust against the Ignite Riven, but it doesn't matter. Jisung able to utilize his kit to perfection. And look at this. He's just farming plates in the top lane. He knows that Winston is in the bot lane. He knows that there's no threat on him whatsoever. Riven doesn't teleport. This is going to be Jisung collecting multiple plates and blowing this matchup wide open.
It is huge. This is the matchup that we were talking about between these top laners. One of them is going to walk out of this lane a mess inside of just the series in general from the champions they play. And now it's a question of how does 300 take advantage of the fact that Jisung is now all of a sudden up there in gold and has been able to kind of find the advantage in the 1v1 scenario.
We've been setting this up from the very beginning, Travesty. Jisung needs to be one of these focal points on 300. He's one of these new players. We don't know how he's going to perform at this level, but so far he's been performing absolutely incredibly well. Naima? Oh, great dodge away.
What a beautiful dodge, but he gets caught by Zamudo.
Here's
all the same,
Jisung.
but here we go. Jisung is here looking to chop them down to size. Winston will get the kill, yoink the body of Diana, looking to see if she'll be able to dash around and lay a little bit more damage, but a swift call to retreat from AoE makes they get out like a bandit.
Yeah, great disengage. They're able to catch Naima, and most importantly, burning flash on a champion like Diana is so important because that cooldown means more to Diana than it does for a lot of other champions. Diana, especially in competitive, can only really get quality, big, massive teamfight engages with the flash available. So the fact that that was burnt and the kill was secured is absolutely huge for the side of AoE, but Jisung is set up this game to be the rock for 300. We saw last game, it was sort of this combined team effort with Naima, with Leo. This game, Naima not performing so well, but the rest of his team is on par with the side of AoE and able to try and carry the load that Naima's not able to carry so far this game.
Well, if you're talking about Gwen, I feel like if you look at the other team, there's a rock over on the other team. His name is Winston, right? Has the most gold inside the game. And hey, you gotta watch out when Winston comes around towards his top side. Can be a massive playmaker. And hey, look, if he's the rock of this team, rock meets scissors. That's just how it works. Zamudo gets a nice stun onto Jisung. Winston is up here into the top side. Let's see if he'll be able to make something happen. The damage is there, and they get Winston. He gets dropped.
Oh, wow.
Zamudo is still here, but Leo looking to take it out. A double kill on the Aurelia.
And that is massive, right? 300 right back into the game. That's 2 kills onto Leo, getting him set up. Sure, you're going to lose the mid turret, but you're going to get the top turret. You're getting gold onto one of these champions that needs to play well, and Naima might look for something able to disengage with the Nami speed up there. But honestly, all things considered, that is very worth it for the side of 300. Irelia getting 2 kills. Irelia is going to be a menace in this side lane, right? Syndra does not want to match the Irelia. Riven does not want to match the Irelia. So the fact that Leo is getting all of this gold, getting all of this experience funneled into him after that play, he's going to be able to walk into a side lane and look to take over.
Do you have a minute and a half until the next dragon comes up too? So I want to see how the rotation happens. I like this movement from the Gwen, honestly, to go down here into the bot side with this dragon spawning up here very shortly.
Yeah, it's going to be very fascinating. 1 minute until the dragon. AoE does have 2 dragons secured already. Cloud Soul, not the greatest soul to roll in terms of trying to snowball an early soul win condition. Oftentimes you're looking more towards maybe a mountain soul, an infernal soul, ocean soul, but it still certainly means a lot, right? Movement speed for the champions on AoE certainly helpful, the ultimate cooldown reduction, but stacking towards the mid lane here for 300, they're just going to push down this turret, sort of calling the bluff that AoE's not in any spot to try and defend this, and can AoE punish this?
Yeah, Scatterweek only hit on the Naima. This tower gets dropped, and all of a sudden, Dylan, we're back into an even state in the game in terms of gold.
Yeah, Gold State is completely even. 19 seconds until this dragon. No team with a really concrete foothold in the river. I love that Young is burning his ultimate early to poke.
He's in a bad
Naima
spot,
caught! No flash!
Oh. Zamudo was licking his lips on that one. I know that took a lot of restraint.
That did, certainly. But I do like it, right? The inexperienced player showing a little bit of restraint there because he knows that with that poke, with that chunk, and the fact that Naima's completely out of the fight, it is a free dragon for AoE. No need to go forward to try and push for something that's not entirely yours. And that's 3 dragons to AoE. Sure, the gold is even, but they're 1 dragon away from Soul, which means the clock is ticking for 300. They need to try and make something happen.
TikTok, but they did use quite a bit of ultimates there, right? They had to use a lot. They had to unleash power. They had to use a tsunami. They're almost back up, but there is a small window that 300 might take advantage of. Jisung caught out of position. Wild Growth has been used. Scatter Week only connecting onto 1 member. Here we go. Loyal jumping into the midst of them all. And all members still alive, but yet again, I'm going to take you for a ride. This blue buff belongs to me.
Oh my goodness, I love that interaction between Syndra and the buffs. It's just so funny watching the buffs scatter away for their lives, but this is what AoE does best, right? They overload towards one side of the jungle, they look for a play. Naima with the flash!
Naima wanted to play onto the Nami, but does not find it. This does signal a retreat from AoE as they don't want to take too much more after that. As look at the free farm in Aphelios mid lane.
Yeah, Aphelios able to collect a little bit of CS. I do think that as this game gets later on, it does favor 300 just a little bit more. The Lucian not nearly as strong as Aphelios. The Irelia, as we talked about earlier, is going to be so strong in the side lane. And the Gwen, powered up by the Lulu, has so much potential to wreak havoc in these fights. But for me, this game rests on this upcoming Soul, right? Cloud Soul's not going to guarantee to win you the game, but it certainly is going to accentuate the strengths that your team composition has. And the most important thing to keep an eye out for is we have 3 minutes until this dragon. What item breakpoints can champions hit before that time to try and be as strong as possible for this fight? So I expect to see both teams funnel gold into the Aphelios, into the Syndra, try and get as much as possible. Look at that pick!
Immediate pick, beautiful eye from Loyal and Skytech to collapse on the Aphelios. Raheem here to try and help Vanguard's edge, doesn't find.
This is just a battle of mechanics at this point. Leo going for the R flash, caught out in the jungle. Jisung maybe. Oh, use the ultimate to get away, but that's just the power of Lucy and Nami, right? You're just exploded in the blink of an eye. Through exhaust, it doesn't matter. On the bright side, Manui does hold on to his flash, right? If the Aphelios had no flash for this upcoming dragon fight, things would look a lot more dire, but having that flash up is crucial. You do also burn the flash on Lucian.
Oh, Skytech caught immediately, and the weakness of Nami gets shown up. You can't just walk in willy-nilly to ward up.
Are we watching a game of League of Legends or a horror movie? It feels like every single second somebody's face checking a bush and getting absolutely blown to smithereens. And all these picks are really doing is getting a little bit of gold into people's pocket, sort of shifting the vision control. It's not really changing too much because teams can't really get Baron off the back of it. They're not getting turrets off the back of it. It's just sort of a change of control of the map, of tempo, and I like that AoE's overloading the top side, trying to get a little bit of pressure, get Loyal some room to farm, and let's take a look down towards the bottom side of the screen at different champions' inventories. We see that Zamudo has that second item, Winston has that second item. Over on the side of 300, we're not seeing those second items hit quite yet, which could mean the difference between a teamfight win and loss in the next minute at Cloud Dragon.
Can mean just that. If you don't hit your item spikes appropriately, it can be rough. And there's a lot riding on not only this Gwen, but the Aurelia as well for 300. We talked about how the gold got equalized. AoE did find a way to put it back into a 2k differential in their favor again. And that's what we're seeing inside these items. You can even see they're paying a lot of respect to this Gwen. Maw's completed on 2 of the key members on this Riven and the Viego, trying to make sure that they also stay alive.
Yeah, trying to absorb that Diana burst as well as that Gwen burst that can certainly come out. And AoE already having a foothold in this bottom side river, getting some early vision down, getting some early control down with that Rift Scuttle. They're going to clear this wave as a 4-man unit. They're going to walk back into their Fog of War, and now 300 has a decision to make. Do you trade Dragon Soul for Baron, or do you try and walk into the fog and face up against a potential Syndra? They don't have a tank to walk in, so I actually think it is in their best interest if they trade for the Baron, which is what they're doing right now.
I like the fact that you talked about it being like a horror movie earlier, because every time the Fog of War gets turned on, I feel my heartbeat increase, you know? Like, I feel like I need to have a heart rate showing on the screen as we're going in, because it goes up every single time. But here's the engage. Moonlight Vigil was used. They're able to tag onto the bot lane of AoE. They are desperate to try and reach over and grab this exchange. Unleash power, but look in the back line.
Oh, wow.
Gets blown up. Trying to see if they can get an assassination off. 4 members of 300 still standing, but the HP bars are not critically low for AoE. They are looking to go forward a little bit more, but it should be the signal Dragon secured.
Desperation engage from the side of 300. You know that things are doomed when your engage is Aphelios Gale Force forward into Gravitum Root, right? They have no Nautilus. They have no Ornn. Nothing to really call a fight at a whim, but here's Jisung's TP. The new player to Proving Grounds. Can he make it happen?
Looking for HP bars are at half. For the bot lane of AoE, they are still feeling the effects of that fight. This is Baron. It's at 3k HP. Just trying to see what he can do. They peeled off Baron. It has reset. The Vanguard's edge. Leo has gone in.
Jisung!
They are just going in deep. Samuno trying to see what he can do into the backline. He's cleaning house in the backline, and now it's the solo laners trying to see what they can make happen. Jisung trying to see if he can snip down the HP bars a little further, but they get divided and conquered, and AoE pops off in the fight, and they go right back onto the Baron.
Naima's still alive. Winston desperately trying to find him. Doesn't want to leave it up to a 50-50. Here's the play on Naima.
He is buying so much time. He goes golden, but he just gets dropped. And it's just the restart for the 3rd time in a row. AoE will start up this Baron, and the timers are not in 300's favor.
Here's the problem, Travesty. They have no HP. Leo has teleport. I don't know if they can do this. Skytech has no mana to keep healing them up. It's going to be so close. If Leo instantly calls the teleport, he could do this, but he's not. He has no vision. He has no way of knowing. And that is Baron over to the side of AoE. An incredibly, incredibly close team fight. Both teams fighting to the bitter end, and AoE coming out on top.
I mean, just look at this fight and look at the solo laners of 300, right? Look at Leo and Jisung. We've been hyping them up so much. Look at the coordination between the two of them at the very start.
Yeah, Jisung diving into the backline. Leo following it up beautifully there. Look at that stun coming through. Dodged away, but a massive Irelia ultimate, able to tag multiple members. Jisung there. But this is where things get hard, right? Winston able to disengage, and now Jisung is sort of stunned. He's left on a string. He can't really do anything. Can't quite get the Skytech kill. And AoE playing it to perfection there. Playing their champions' ranges so well, their kits so well, and Winston so much experience knowing that it's not worth it to leave it up to a 50-50, right? Why leave your tournament hopes and dreams up to a 50-50? They instead disengage, go on to Naima, and now AoE with a massive gold lead. Baron buff, they are in the driver's seat for this game. 6,000 gold, looking to close out this game.
Yeah, they're looking to see if they'll be able to close out the game, as you just said, and a lot of this has been, I feel like, Young just having a fantastic performance on this intro. The control on these Scatter the Weeks has been immense, but 300 still looking to answer back. Objective Bounty was claimed over in the top side. They are still pushing away. Tsunami going a bit wide just to try and deter any members from 300 on the rotation, but this is bot inhibitor dropping.
Yeah, cracking open the base is so crucial, because that means that not only is 300 going to have to deal with the upcoming Elder Dragon threat, they are also going to have to deal with the fact that there are super minions knocking on their door, and they're always going to have to make sure that somebody is there to clear those minions. But now, it's a little bit of a waiting game, right? 2 minutes, 20 seconds until the Elder Dragon spawns. AoE Esports should be using their last little bits of this Baron buff to make sure that they have control, and take a look at that question at the bottom of the screen.
I bless Young, and then he's immediately just like, nah, dude, Winston? No, pathing? What is he doing? And is that unpredictable pathing inside this game? But you see what the reward can possibly be inside of the game when you have somebody like Winston who does go for those unpredictable paths.
You've got to love the fact that this team, you know, so new to playing with one another. They're just out here making fun of each other, having that brotherly love. You know, you really do love to see it. Those are the teams that stick around and play the best. The ones that have that camaraderie, that good sportsmanship with one another. But here's AoE, you know, looking to just make sure that they're starving 300. Zamudo may be looking for something. The Baron buff's about to run out. Elder Dragon spawning soon. It should be AoE shifting towards the bottom side of the map, trying to make things happen around this Elder to close out the game.
Yeah, check it out. You do have some super minion waves actually starting to stack up down there too. So this is where you look to apply pressure, and the pressure is being applied justly so. Look at it. Mid-wave is crashing in as well. Where do you go, 300? It's time to ask yourselves that question and see if you can answer it right.
It just feels so doomed for a composition that has no form of engage. They're basically just sitting ducks in their base. AoE can do whatever they want to as soon as the Elder Dragon is secured, if they even need it, right? They're sticking around this top side for a little bit longer than I'd think. Maybe they have some sort of a read that they don't quite need the Elder Dragon, but they're not threatened by 300 whatsoever. It has to be a massive Diana play, and it should be coming pretty soon.
They have to be looking for it. Naima gets the coin unleashed upon them, but is able to dodge out on a couple of those shots with the thanks of Rahim giving a nice little shield as well. So it's just a wave crashing in, and with super minions in there, like you were talking about, Elder Dragon's coming up, and you can see AoE baiting this. They get the blue ward and scatter the weak Naima. Gets dropped down so low. The Moonlight Vigil's there. Wildgrave has been used, but two vital members already taken off the map. They get a nice polymorph. Son is into the back line, but he gets demolished by Young. And AoE Esports, they have two obstacles left standing, but they won't be obstacles for long. They are just speed bumps as they're looking to go into Game 3.
Yeah, forcing a Game 3. AoE Esports back to the drawing board for 300. It didn't quite work out this game. Naima with a standout performance in Game 1. Game 2 leaving a lot to be desired. AoE with the bounce back Game 2 win.
And this is beautiful, honestly. AoE, I think one of the biggest things, it's not a draft difference or anything like that that I would attribute this dump to. I would say that this is them looking back at game number 1 objectively and saying, okay, yo, we're just going to not let Naima do anything inside this game, and he's not going to be the bridge for his team to be able to pop off.
I love the fact that they took the Lucian first. I think that gave them so much they took the Lucian first. They flexed it to the bottom lane. That gave them so much breathing room in this draft. They didn't have to worry about Lucian and an AP jungler. They had priority in the mid lane. They had everything that they wanted. All the pieces came together, and they just played that game so well. Not only did they get themselves a good draft that they were comfortable with, they played it out cleanly. They played it out to perfection, and just that is the kind of bounce back that you want to see in a team that has fight left in them.
Put some respect on Young's name, though, man. This is what I was talking about.
Look at that.
You talked about it before. Yo, the Akali, cool. It's an assassin. It's flashy. It's really cool. It's great when you get to put that in the highlight reel. But the tried and true Syndra for Young, that is undeniable the impact that it left.
Yeah, it really is, right? The Syndra plus the Viego, the two stars of AoE undoubtedly, right? We have the replay of the final fight of the game, and this is off the back of Young. Look at the damage on Naima. Oh! I mean, you just can't do anything, right? Their only win condition is a massive Diana engage, and when Diana's 1 HP before the start of the fight, you simply cannot do anything. It's just a wallet check at this point. Zamudo able to really stall out the backline. Sure, he's not really doing a ton of damage, but he's buying space, right? That's the role of these bruisers in this fight. Winston plus Young, maybe top 3, top 5 mid-jungle duo in this entire tournament, and they really showed it off that game.
Yeah, I personally, like, you saw at one point in time, Young just obliterated the HP bar of Jisung, and it was immediately like, that wasn't even with Unleashed Power, that wasn't even with the outplay button of Syndra, that was just basic rotation of spells. So
Yeah.
I gotta see, what does 300 come back with on their strategy? We are going to take ourselves a short break, and when we come back, we are going to be going into game number 3, so do not touch that browser.